All right, we're out fishing today. It's a little bit breezy, not crazy windy, but pretty breezy and a little bit annoying to Eurofish. So today we want to show you a few tips on how to deal with wind.
That's a big brown.
All right, so first things first, when it's windy, you usually need to have slightly heavier flies. So in this case, I have on a 4mm bead and a 3mm bead as my flies. So I'm fishing fairly heavy, given that we're fishing a pretty small stream. The next piece of advice is to go as thin as you can on your sider and your leader. This is a micro thin leader, so this is basically 6-pound test. In this case, Amnesia from the fly line down to the sider, and then the sider is Umpqua 3X two-tone. It doesn't have to be Umpqua brand, but you want something in that same diameter or maybe slightly thinner than your leader. By having a thinner leader, we give the wind less surface area to blow. So if you had a 15 or 20 pound leader or even a 10 or 8 pound leader, there's more surface area to it, so the wind is just going to blow that leader around more. The disadvantage to this type of leader is it's a little harder to control accuracy wise, but after you get used to it, it's really not too bad. All right, so in addition to using heavier flies and thinning out your leader as much as possible, the next thing you want to do is learn to manage slack. So we see a lot of Euro nymphers that get a fixed amount of line out. Let's reel some of this up so you can see what I mean. And they just kind of high stick through the drift, and at the end of each cast, their rod's way up here. Even in non-windy conditions, that's not ideal because you should be taking up slack so that your rod's low and you have less slack out so you're ready to set the hook on a moment's notice. So the advantage here in the wind is to take up slack so that you have very little leader out. So I'm able to fish right in front of me without the extra leader. Again, when I minimize surface area, whether that's diameter or length, I'm going to decrease the amount of influence the wind has on my rig. So as I cast in here, what I want to do is immediately take up slack. Sometimes that's 2 or 3 strips. It's sometimes enough just to do 1 strip. You can hand twist retrieve it. You can strip it in like this in small strips. For me, my favorite is just to do 1 slow, smooth strip with my non-rod hand. If I need to do it again, I reach up to my rod hand and pull again. It's important when you're taking up slack to do it smoothly and to move the rod hand, not to move the rod hand at all. So I throw the cast in, and my rod hand is just following the leader. My left hand is going to the rod hand. So my non-rod hand is doing all the work. The rod hand is following and managing the managing the drift. My non-rod hand is the one managing the slack. So let me say that one more time. My rod hand is managing the drift, managing the cast, and my non-rod hand moves to my rod hand. So the thing that we see a lot there is you move this rod hand over to your left, and in doing so, you kill your drift. So you don't want to do that. You want to get the cast out, manage the line just with your non-rod hand. That way when a fish eats, you can set and you're ready to strip line in. All right, otherwise, it's all just a matter of positioning. You always want to stay as far away from the fish as possible while still getting the best drift. In the case for windy situations, you maybe can't fish quite as far away as you could in calm situations. So if it was really calm, I could easily fish across the river, and right now I'm between gusts, it's not that bad. But if I get a big gust that hits me while I have that much line out, it's going to belly my leader. So if I were to just wade a little bit closer, 2 steps closer on an edge like that is not going to scare the fish there. It would have scared fish here, but I've already fished this section. So in really windy conditions, you sneak into where you're really close to where you're trying to fish. You take up the slack and try and lessen the influence of that wind on your rig. I had to slow it way down. Red dart again. All right, well, this little fish, beautiful little wild brownie, ate a red dart. And even though it's a little bit windy, hopefully you can put together some of these tips and add them to your fishing when you encounter wind. And I hope that they will produce a few more fish for you when you're out on the water.